The deeper Inspector Marsh digs, the darker this village becomes, and a shocking diary is about to change everything. Welcome to Unsolved Mystery Vault. I'm your moderator, Falcon. In Episode 2, a blackmail note found in the ashes revealed a secret dangerous enough to kill for. Tell me where you were watching from. I read every single comment.
Episode 3. What the Village Remembered.
The fragment of blackmail letter transformed the investigation overnight. A woman receiving extortion demands was not merely a victim of opportunity. She was a woman carrying a secret, and that secret was now the beating heart of the murder. Inspector Marsh spent Monday morning making enquiries that had nothing to do with the present and everything to do with the past. What he found, assembled from the careful recollections of long-memoried villagers, was this. 11 years ago, Chipping Alderton had witnessed something it had never quite recovered from, though it spoke of it only obliquely. A young woman named Eleanor Vane, Cecily's older sister, had been employed at Hartwell Manor as a lady's companion. She had been 23, clever, and deeply in love with Dr. Aubrey Blunt, who had at the time been recently widowed and, it was understood, not unwilling to be loved. Eleanor Vane had died in the autumn of that year. A fall, the inquest had concluded. She had been found at the bottom of the stone staircase in Hartwell Manor. The inquest had also concluded, with the careful neutrality of such proceedings, that there was no evidence of foul play. Dorothea Hartwell had given evidence. Dr. Blunt had given evidence. The matter had been closed. Cecily Vane had been 20 years old at the time. She had, it occurred to Miss Marple, subsequently spent 3 years working for the woman present in the house the night her sister died. Miss Marple sat with this information for a long time. She thought of Cecily's expression when she had described her employer as preoccupied. She thought of the controlled stillness of a woman who had learned to wait. And then she thought of a remark that Mrs. Fenn had made to her earlier that morning, quite without understanding its significance. "Miss Vane types very well," Mrs. Fenn had said. "Always very neat letters. Beautiful handwriting, too, when she writes by hand. Very upright, like her mother's." Very upright, like her mother's. Miss Marple recalled the 6 words on the fragment of blackmail letter. "I know what you did. Pay." The handwriting had been described by the police analyst as careful and upright. She did not say anything yet. There was more to understand. Neville Croft, meanwhile, had made an error. He had telephoned a solicitor, not the Hartwell family solicitor in Cirencester, but a private practice in London, and Marsh's sergeant, who had the valuable quality of looking incapable of observation, had overheard enough of the conversation outside the village pub to report back that Neville had used the phrase, "the arrangement must be protected." He had also, the sergeant noted, seemed surprised, not grieving, surprised, as though something had not gone according to some private plan. Marsh confronted Neville that afternoon. The young man crumbled with the speed of someone whose nerve had been held together by nothing more solid than optimism. It came out in stages. Neville had, 18 months ago, discovered that his aunt had been making regular payments, substantial ones, £1,000 at a time, to an account he could not trace. He had found the bank statements by accident while searching for a document she'd asked him to retrieve. He had said nothing to her, but he had begun watching, and 3 weeks before her death he had gone to her directly and told her he knew she was being blackmailed. "What was her reaction?" said Marsh. "She cried," said Neville, who looked as though this had frightened him more than anything else. "My aunt never cried. She told me it would be resolved, that she had already taken steps. What steps? She wouldn't say. Miss Marple, in her chair at the back of the room, set down her knitting. Dorothea Hartwell had said she had taken steps. 5 days later, she was dead, which suggested rather strongly that the steps she had taken had accelerated someone's decision to act. The decisive clue of the afternoon came not from any interview, but from a discovery in the Manor's drawing room. While conducting a thorough search of the house, Marsh's team found, behind a loose panel beneath the window seat, a small locked diary. The lock was trivial, the kind fitted to keep out the curious rather than the determined, and was opened in moments. It was Dorothea's. The entries ran back 4 years. The final entry, dated the Wednesday before her death, the evening Dr. Blunt had dined at the Manor, read, "Told A tonight that I will not pay another penny. He did not like it. I told him I knew the truth about Eleanor, too, that it was not only me there that night, and that I had written it all down and left it somewhere safe. He was very still for a long time. I think he is frightened now. Good. I am tired of being the only one who is." The room was silent for a moment. "A," said Marsh. She was paying him, not the other way around. Miss Marple spoke very quietly. "It would appear," she said, "that we have had the blackmail entirely backwards." Dorothea had not been the victim of extortion. She had been the blackmailer, and now the person she was blackmailing had killed her. But who was A, and what truth about Eleanor Vane had Dorothea hidden somewhere safe?